Hi everyone, welcome to this 20-minute yoga practice. My name is Julia. We're going to start seated on our mat, so I'll meet you there. Start seated on your mat. Hands can be on your knees, facing up, whatever's most comfortable for you. I invite you to close your eyes, or if you like just to soften your gaze, that's fine as well. Start focusing in just on our breathing. Acknowledging everything that we've done earlier today and what we have later coming up. Acknowledge it in your mind and just let it float away. Be present on your mat right now, taking the time for yourself. Imagine a string, the crown of your head, pulling up, elongating that spine. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears and just roll them back on the exhale. Really opening up the chest, relaxing your shoulders. On your next exhale, we'll drop our chin to chest. Feeling that nice stretch in the back of the neck. And inhale back up. And one more time. Exhale, chin to chest. And inhale back to center. Exhaling, dropping our left ear to our left shoulder. Taking a few breaths here. If you need to, just taking your hand, adding an extra weight for that stretch. And inhaling back up. Doing the same on the other side. Dropping that right ear to the right shoulder. Making sure our shoulder's not coming up, still relaxed. And taking a few breaths here. Again, additional weight, use your hand. And the hand is just resting on the head. It is not pulling in any way. Our next inhale, come back up to center. We're going to turn our gaze to over our left shoulder. And we're just gonna exhale, dropping and rotating, doing half circles. Inhaling up onto the other side and exhaling, coming down. And doing that with your breath. Again, making sure your shoulders are relaxed and down. And go as slow as you like. Next time you're up near your shoulder, we'll come back to center. Walking your fingertips, your left fingertips out to your side. Inhaling your arm up. And on the exhale, bending over to that side. Again, keeping that chest open. We're not coming over this way. We're just opening up. Taking a breath here. And coming back to center and doing the same on the opposite side. Walking those fingertips out. Inhaling our arm up. And exhaling, folding over to the side. Taking a breath here. And come back to center. Doing each side one more time. You can do this with your own breath. Just make sure when you're exhaling, you're folding over. Coming back to center. Opposite side. Inhale. And exhale, bend over. Coming back to center. I'm going to come onto all fours into tabletop. So knees below hips, hands Below shoulders, tucking those toes. If you want, hands below shoulders, knees below hips. If you like to tuck your toes, you can. It's up to you. Keeping a straight back from our tailbone all the way to the crown of our head. We're going to go into cat and cow. So in cow is an inhale, dropping the stomach, the belly down, tilting your tailbone so it's pointing up, and opening the chest, gaze forward in cow. And on your exhale, you're going to round the back, tucking that tailbone down, head between your arms, and inhale in to cow, going at your own breath, sucking that belly button towards the spine on the cat. One more. And if your toes are untucked, tucking your toes, pushing back towards our heels as we lift up, lift the knees up to our first downward facing dog. So our hips should be at the highest point, nice bend in our knees, chest and stomach, torso pushing towards your thighs. Should have a nice wide fingertips, and be generous, be kind to yourself. Nice bend in the knees. Be like you can walk the dog, so dropping your heels towards the mat. Just a few breaths here. Bending those knees down, our gaze is going to go forward, and we're going to step up to the top of our mat into our first forward fold. Again, keeping a nice bend in the knees. If you need a block, you can use a book, a box, or anything like that. Just brings the floor closer to you. Remember that a forward fold is really just hinging your hips. So when you're standing, it's all in the hips. Keeping that nice bend in the knees. If you also like, I like to interlock my arms around my elbows, let my head hang. Just let gravity do its work, still feeling that nice stretch back here. Dropping the arms, so if they're touching the mat or on the block, whatever works for you is great. It's your practice. We'll inhale our hands up to the sky, to standing. And we'll exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to go through a few rounds of sun salutation just to warm our bodies up. So inhale, hands up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, skimming those fingertips up the shin. Straightening that back, pressing those shoulder blades together. Exhaling back down to forward fold. Hands on the mat, we step back into plank. Again, nice straight back. We take an inhale here. We push forward and squeeze those arms against our torso as we exhale through chaturanga all the way to the bottom of our mat. Inhale into baby cobra. You can keep your hands on the mat or lift them, whatever works for you. Exhale back down, tucking our toes, pushing back, downward facing dog. Taking a breath here, maybe two. Bending those knees, gaze forward. We're gonna step to the top of our mat or walk to the top of our mat. And forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up to standing. Hands above. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, swan dive down. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Squeezing those shoulder blades together. Exhale, forward fold. Placing our hands on the mat, stepping back into plank. Inhale here. Push forward. Exhale through chaturanga to the bottom of your mat. Untuck those toes. Inhale to baby cobra or full cobra. And exhale, back down, tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Again, about 2 breaths here. If you like, you can stay stagnant, or if you want to walk your heels down, whatever feels good for you. Bending those knees, looking forward, stepping, walking to the top of our mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up. And exhale, hands to heart center. We'll do one more of that. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, swan dive down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank. Inhale. Press down through exhale. Inhale to cobra. Exhale down. Tucking the toes. Pushing back to downward facing dog. Again, 2 breaths here. Bending our knees, gazing forward, stepping, walking, top of our mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, you should be standing at the top of your mat. We're gonna make sure that our ankles, feet are hip width apart. We're gonna bend our knees, inhaling our arms up. We're gonna push back into chair, similar to like you're sitting in a chair or even you're squatting. Imagine that. Keeping our crown of our head in line all the way down with our spine. Taking a breath here. If it's easier, you can bring your hands to heart center. Now if your hands are like this, we will bring them to heart center. And we'll exhale, come down into a forward fold. Placing our hands on the mat, nice bend in our knees, we'll step back our right foot into a lunge. We're going to drop that back knee. And we're going to stay in this low lunge, getting a nice stretch right here on the hip. You can also put a blanket, a towel underneath your knee if that's too much. Or if you wanted to, you could also fold up your mat and use that as well. I'll show you that on the next one. Placing our hands on our mat. We're going to straighten that front leg into a half split. Again, we're not bending our body over. We're just keeping a nice straight back. Again, getting a nice stretch. Keep that front foot flexed. This is half splits. Taking a breath here. Remember always to be breathing. Placing our foot back down on the mat, our front foot. If you'd like to stay here, you can in low lunge. We're going to crescent lunge. Raising our arms up, shoulders, torso, body, all over our hips. We're in line, we're not leaning forward. You can stay here. If you like, you can raise that back foot into high crescent lunge. Again, it's what feels good for you today. If you need to adjust your feet, do so. Regardless of whether you're in low lunge or high lunge, we're going to drop those front hands down. We're gonna step that front foot back into plank. Inhale here, push forward. Exhale down to the mat. Untucking the toes. Inhale to cobra. Exhale down. Tucking the toes. And going back into downward facing dog. Taking 1, 2 breaths here. Again, walking the dogs if you like. Bending those knees if you like. Looking forward. If you like, you can jump to the top of your mat, or you can still step or walk to the top of your mat. It's what feels comfortable for you, where you are today. We'll inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Again, at the top of our mat, making sure our feet are hip width apart. Inhaling our arms up and bending and pushing back our hips back into chair. Again, making sure we have a straight spine from crown of head to tailbone. One more breath here. Hands to heart center. Hinging at the hips, we'll fold forward to forward fold. Again, always giving yourself a nice bend in the knees. We're going to do the opposite side now. We're going to step our left foot back, dropping that knee. Like I said, if you'd like to bend your mat, you can do it like that. So stepping back into our low lunge. Hands are here. If this is too difficult, you always have a block as well to help you. The block is just a great resource to bring the floor closer to you. Staying in this low lunge. Again, the back toes, if you like them tucked or untucked, it's up to you. Now moving back, straightening that front leg, engaging that ankle, flexing that foot, coming into splits, half splits. Again, if you need to readjust, do so. And at any time, if this doesn't feel good for you or you don't like this exercise, you don't have to do it by any means. I will not be offended, I promise. Again, you can use a block if you need it as well. I only have one block, so if you only have one block, you can always just use it in the middle to keep both your hands up. Walking that front foot down, staying either in low lunge if you like, or coming up on that back foot and inhaling up to crescent lunge. I will stay at low lunge just to show the modification here. Again, our torso, shoulders should be on top of each other, stacked. If they're not, just reassess. Exhaling our hands down. If your mat is tucked like mine, you might just want to fix it first. I'm going to step that front foot back into plank. Inhaling here, pushing forward, exhaling down, untucking the toes. Inhale to cobra. Exhale back down. This time we're going to push back. Instead of downward facing dog, I'm just going to go into child's pose. Take your knees wide towards the width of your mat, just to give yourself a little bit more space to press down in child's pose. Pushing back up into tabletop, adjusting those knees under our hips. If you have more time, I would recommend doing both of those lunge and half splits again, but this is a 20-minute video, so we are going to make it short and sweet, but you're more than welcome to do a lot of these poses 2-3 more times. All right, so we're gonna tuck those toes, pushing back, coming to downward facing dog. Inhaling the right foot or the left foot up, and exhaling, coming forward into pigeon. Stretching out those hips. If you like, you can drop down from here, or stay like this, whatever feels good for you. If you are unable to do pigeon, a great modification is figure 4. So making a 4 and just intertwining around that thigh and bringing it forward, engaging those ankles. That's a great option, a great substitute. If you're in just the regular pigeon, we'll switch, going back into downward facing dog. And if you're in figure 4, just swap to the other side. Inhale that right foot up, exhale, come forward into pigeon. Again, if you'd like to drop down, you can, or you can stay high. What feels good for you? It's your practice. Today is different than yesterday. Just be accepting of where you are today. Tucking that back toe, pushing back to downward facing dog. If you're in figure 4, just stay there, because we're about to meet you there. Dropping our knees, untucking our toes, coming back onto the heels. We're gonna rotate into seated, long on our mat. We're gonna place our hands underneath our thighs, and we're gonna slowly come down into laying. If you can, 1 vertebrae at a time. You should feel some shaking in that core. And then just let it release. We're going to windshield wiper our knees back and forth. Just giving some relief in that lower back. And also we did a lot of hips. Coming back to center. Placing our hands wide on either side. And just dropping those knees to the left, gaze to the right. Inhaling back up. And now dropping to the right, gaze over the opposite side. Inhaling, bringing our knees back to center, extending out our legs. As we go into Shavasana, relaxing your body. If you have the time, stay here for 5 to 10 minutes. If you have the time, thank you so much for taking 20 minutes out of your day to join me and everyone else watching this video. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being here and being present. So thank you. Namaste.